Welcome. I'm going to start sharing my screen here. And to have everybody here. Welcome, Michaela. Thanks for setting this all up. So today's going to be a fun day for me because I get to show you some features that we're just releasing, some of which are already there, and others that are coming tonight or going to be available, might be available right now. I'm not even sure. So let me start with that. So here we have, I'm going to talk about two main features. The first is two-factor authentication for security, which we've just launched. So in order, there's obviously we're concerned about security, and so right now, obviously, you log in with a complex password, 8 characters, et cetera, and so that's great. But what other people and many of us want is further protection, and we have something called two-factor authentication, which means that when you log in, you can log in. You have to log in with your password, but you can also add another set of in essence, password or login to make sure it's you. So I'll show you how to enable that and then how it works. So to do that, you're going to click on your initials up at the top right because it's user by user. You can turn this on. So I'm going to click on that and I'm going to click on my account. So I click on that and that brings us really, this is where you would reset your password, et cetera, but also where you enable multi-factor authentication or MFA. So right now we only have a single additional factor, which is email. And what we're going to ask from you and from all of our users is other methods that they'd like. Some software use texts. So when you log in, you get a text to your mobile phone, and you have to put in the code. Others do have an authentication app on their phone, and it notifies you that you're trying to log into your eState account, and I click on that. So those are a couple of other options. So we'd love to hear feedback on what you'd like. But right now we have an email authentication. So if I enable that and I click update, now every time I log in, I'm gonna get an email from eState with a code that I'm going to put in after my password. So I've enabled it. I now exit out of this and I log back in. Okay. So let me log back in and now it then lets me know that I've been sent an email with a verification code. Okay. So, and I'll just show you what that looks like. Let me just show you what that looks like. So this is the email that I just got. And it has this code. And so I can just click that code, copy that code that is, and type it in here and verify. Now I'm in. Okay. So every time I log in now, I'm going to have to go through that two-step process. And obviously that's more secure. And so we've enabled that. So I can choose to turn that on and turn it off as a particular user. I'm not going to use it on this is our development account and our demo account, so there's no real data here. So I'm not going to worry about that. So how do I turn it back off? I click on the initials. I go to my account. I go to MFA. I click off enable and I update. And now when I log in, so here, and to get out of this, I have to sign out. And then now to log back in, it won't ask me for authentication. So that's that feature. Now I'm in. Okay. So anybody have questions about that feature? We'll probably the next multi-factor authentication method will be text. So you'll get a text instead of getting an email, you'll get a text on your phone if you want. And then you can enter that as further security. Everybody followed how I did that and how to do that. That is active, by the way, right now. So if you want to activate your multi-factor authentication for your account, you can go ahead and do that. Any questions about that? Great. Oh, there might be some questions. Yeah, I think yep, got that. Okay. And in fact, text is secure. I understand that those authentication apps are even more secure than your phone number, so your text. So we'll be offering all of those eventually. So that's that feature. The next one that I want to show is, it's always a problem for me when I'm doing mirror wills for my clients, and I think I've got the mirror, but I'm not 100% sure. And we didn't have a really easy way to check that to make sure that they were mirror wills. Well, now we do. So let's say we were doing a plan for Homer and Marge. Let's say we just use one of our e-plans, and we do that, we execute it. I can now, right, it does it for both spouses, etc. I can now check to make sure the data is the same for both the husband and the wife. I click on this compare with spouse button, and I'm not sure this is available at this hour. It will be available tonight if it's not available right now. I'm going to click on this button. That's going to open up a pane here that tells me, oh, everything matches. My estate trustees match, my guardians match, my provisions match, my scenarios match. I can even go down into each of these. So I can go estate trustees to the appointments, to the provisions, down into it, et cetera, to make sure everything matches. Now, if they match at the highest level, I don't have to worry too much, right? But let's just do a couple of things here. I'm going to put in Bart as the alternate trustee. And you'll see now that it does not match. Okay, shoot, it doesn't match. Okay, what doesn't match? Oh, the appointments don't match. Okay, that makes sense. I got to go to the appointments. And now I want to, oh yeah, I do want them to match. So I'm going to just sync them, right? Use the sync button to sync between the husband and the wife or the spouses. Sync that. Now when I go here, it matches. So this will go down deep into your things. What often happens is, I make a change to the residue gift somewhere down here, where I change, oh yeah, and I forgot, I'm going to make a stage distribution here. At age 18, I want to give them $1,000, and I'll forget to sync it, or I'll do whatever I think or whatever. And then I'll go about doing it. Well, before I generate, I can check, oh, the scenarios don't match. Oh, the descendants only don't match. Oh, the balance of estate doesn't match. Oh, segment 1 doesn't match. Okay, what doesn't match? Oh, mandatory payments. So it's doing a pretty good job of making sure, and it goes way down into it, goes into gift overs and all of those things to make sure that it isolates any differences. So this is especially useful now that we have the viewer, because I can view one will, make sure that's right, get it all right in one person, and then check to make sure it's exactly the same or sync it with the other one. And now I know I can check before I go and generate that, yes, both spouses have the exact same provisions. Okay. And it does certain things, like if it sees that I have RRSPs and the spouse has RRSPs, they're not the exact same asset, but they match. Okay. So we have some smart logic there to make sure of that. We've also had to build in some ideas where we say, listen, if one person has RSPs and the other doesn't, and the person gives their RSPs away, we don't care that the other one doesn't, because that's still a match. They don't have that RSP to give away. So just so you know, there's some smart aspects to that. If you're using it and you find, you know what, this is one where it says it's matching, but or it doesn't say it's matching, but it really is matching, or vice versa, or I'd like to know, let us know, because we can always add more and more algorithms to that compare. So that's that. And when you see your version, so the version I'm showing you right now has this pane that pulls out, and then to make any changes here, I have to close it and then make the changes. When you're going to get it later today, it's actually going to be live on your screen. So you'll be able to work on one side, similar to this, right? You can work on this side, and have the compare on the right side here, and just it'll be live updated. So as you make changes, you'll see let the things change from yellow to green or whatever. Okay, that's how we're going with all of our user interfaces. It's going to be these panes, what we call panes, that pull out and you can adjust. And the idea is you can work at the same time as you're watching results. So that's the idea there. So that's our second factor of feature. Any questions? I see there's, can you, okay. Can you further explain the impact of overriding on the sync? Yeah, I mean, when you sync, just to be clear, every scenario has a sync button. So if I'm going here and I create whatever GIFs I want to create and I click sync, it's going to do the same thing on the other side. So if it's the same asset, so it's a joint asset, yes, then it'll do the same thing. It doesn't match necessarily my personal effects with their personal effects. One of the things we are going to build is is gift by gift. So when I create one gift down here, I can sync just that gift. So we're going to build that in. But right now it's scenario level, complete scenario. Same for appointments. So I can put in the appointments. If I want to sync it, I just click the sync button. That's going to replace the other ones. Now, it knows that Marjorie is Homer's spouse, so it's going to put Homer in for Marjorie, right? So it knows that, obviously. Provisions, same thing. One thing we don't check to see if it's a match is the funeral arrangements. We recognize that two people could have different funeral arrangements and their compare should match. So we kind of ignore that. But if I did something different here, if I then went to my compare, it would tell me that I've got a difference there in the provisions. You can see provisions are different. So we have that. And that is the idea of syncing. And so you can do the same thing. For powers of attorney, we have a double sync. You can sync between the client and the spouse, but you can also sync from financial to personal care and personal care to financial, because often you want the same two people. And if you just want to sync that, you can just do that. So that's what those buttons do. And we used to have them over here, which was confusing because at the top here on the left, it would say personal care, but that was the sync button, not the actual financial. So we moved them to the right. So that's that. The other thing that I wanted to mention that we've just added is the short will. And somebody asked about this. Let me just do this for a second. For the short will, we now offer all of the administrative provisions as options. So right now, this is what you would normally have, but people also wanted to get some of the powers under obtain assistance or trustee protection. So now you can add those directly to your short will, both on the default section when you're setting up your short will precedent and per client. Okay, so those are just some additional admin provisions that you can add to your short will that historically had only been in the single will. So that's live as well. And those were the features that I wanted to display and that you'll see this week. Any questions? It's definitely not Ian, I can tell you that. Any questions? All right. The other thing I just wanted to talk about, because I realized last week that Word is a very important part of eState, and there are tools that are built in Word because we generate, unlike some software, we generate a Word document that's fully editable. There are features of Word that are important. Obviously, we all know cut and paste and those kinds of things. But one of the things I do want to show is a couple of features that Word has that I use regularly when I'm editing documents. So I'm going to call up just a Word document. This happens to be a short will, but it doesn't really matter. So there's a few features that I want to show that are really important. One is obviously search and replace. Many of us know about that. If you do a Control F, it will look for a certain document, a certain item, and in the thing, and you can just find, where does it talk about codicils? Oops, codicils, and it'll list all of those items if it only appears once, kind of thing. More importantly, though, is the idea of cross-referencing. So eState uses, and you should, even if you didn't use eState or you're doing manual edits, it refers to different paragraphs. Whenever you're referring to another paragraph, don't hard code that. Don't say, pursuant to paragraph, 11, okay? Because paragraph 11 could change. If I add another clause in here, now this whole thing is wrong. I meant paragraph 12. So the Word has a great feature, which is called cross-reference. Whenever I'm referring to anything, whether it's a paragraph, etc., there's a button here that's called cross-reference. Okay. And what this allows me to do is always refer to that paragraph, even if the numbering changes. So if I wanted to refer to, and I'm going to pick a subparagraph, I want to refer to this subparagraph down here. I'm going to just click on that. And I want it to be, I can refer to it in different ways. I can refer to it at the highest level. So this is paragraph, 12A, A2B2, okay? I could refer to it just as 12, or I could do full context. And I usually want full context because I want to have the full paragraph number. So I've selected that, I insert this here, and now you can see it puts in that exact reference, okay? And if I click on that, it'll take me right to that. So I can double check, yes, this is the paragraph I want to refer to. The other thing is, if I add another paragraph in here, we have to update the codes because it doesn't do it live. You have to update the codes. And again, we spoke about that last week. That's Shift Control 5 or Control A will highlight the whole thing. And then function 9, F9, will then update that number automatically. And you can just highlight that and it'll put it all in automatically. Okay. So that's the idea there. It's going to automatically update. Let's get rid of that for a second. It's going to automatically update the field code and refer to the proper paragraph. Okay. In this case, that's down here. Right. And again, you can always link. You can just click on it, make sure, yes, that is the right paragraph I want to reference. If I added a middle one there, it would change this number. When I updated it, it should, to 3. Oops, that didn't work quite right. So it will update when I do a cross-reference properly, which is here, cross-reference, full context, and then paragraph C2, let's say. So it does, when you highlight the whole thing, it will update the field codes. And eState works that way. Any field codes that are already in here get updated automatically, okay? So the guide, for example, someone was asking, if I change the numbering of the guide, well, the guide will automatically update. Once you Control F, select all and update field codes, F9, okay? So, and the same thing happens for page numbers. You don't do any numbers, we don't use manually because we want them to reflect the current state of the document. So that's the cross-reference number, okay, or function. We have that. Okay. That was really all I wanted to mention about. I just want to make sure people knew about field codes and cross-referencing, because that's very important. Whether you're using, if for wills or in the eState, or any kind of agreement or anything, anytime you're referencing a paragraph, cross-referencing is the way to go. So, any questions? Well, thanks, everybody. And as you know, we continue to release new features. So one that's coming out next week is the revocation, customization of revocation. And then we're working on, in the background, just so you guys know, we're working on reordering clauses in your template, as well as inserting your own paragraphs that we don't have, but you want it in. So that's a project that's going to take us the summer. And by the end of the summer, we're going to have that among other big features coming out. So thanks again for all of your support. I know Thursday, it's going to be Susanna and Ian talking more about real estate, tricky issues. And thanks again. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or to Michaela, and we'll see you all again soon.